Funny about that. You know who was asking about you the other day? Who's that? Nobody.
We talking about sports, get ball.
What it do, baby?
Yeah.
I say, what ball?
What it do, you number one podcast listeners? We are back, finally. I apologize for the hiatus, but the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee, is back better than ever. Happy New Year, number one podcast listeners. I'm your host, Premal Bhatt. I'm joined by my big bro, my big cousin, Roshan Bhatt.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, man.
Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to the number one podcast listeners. You already know.
Yes. Apologize for the time off. We were spending a little time with our families, but we're back, ready for another amazing year, and appreciate all the number one podcast listeners reaching out, wondering when we were coming back, but here we are. Shout out to you, Roche, for rallying the micro.
Yeah, NFL's Black Monday always kind of kickstarts the year for us every year, it feels like.
For sure. We got a lot to cover, though, so without further ado, let's get started. But before we do, number one podcast listener, in the new year, we are leveling up. That's why I'm excited and honored that this edition of Prem Brulee is sponsored by Mushroom. Mushroom offers functional mushroom blends for holistic wellness. While many companies are doing it and your algorithm might be feeding them to you, Mushroom separates themselves by being physician and minority owned, something I am very proud to be affiliated with. Now, as you number one podcast listeners know, I've been really prioritizing my health, and functional mushroom extracts have become part of my morning routine. Your boy opts for the lion's mane and cordyceps powder so I can mix them into my coffee, but Mushroom has even more functional mushroom extract types and has the same beneficial extracts in pill form, and I got some inside scoop. They'll soon be adding new products, including liquid extracts. So any medium that works for you, they'll have it for you very shortly. Now, by using them regularly, I've noticed a marked difference in my energy, focus, and overall health. And for those of you new to the mix, functional mushrooms help regulate your body and boost its immune response. I've personally noticed, like I said, improvement in my energy, focus, and health since incorporating it. I find myself not needing that mid-afternoon caffeine fix or pick-me-up. It feels kind of like everything's firing on all cylinders from the start of the morning. So, number one podcast listeners, you know I always take care of you. Their website is super easy to navigate, so you can see the benefits of each of the functional mushroom extract types. If you listen to the mushroom types and have no idea what I'm talking about, you don't have to memorize them. They tell you right there what they help with, so you can find either the right product or combination of products that benefit your health the best, what you're looking to improve. You can go get yours by visiting mushroom.com/prembrulee. That's mushnoom.com/prembrulee. That's PREMBRULEE. Place an order. Promise you it is not that pricey, and especially is great for your health. It only benefits you. I'm a big fan of it, proponent of it. So shout out Mushroom. So excited to be partnering with them and affiliated with them, and proud that they're sponsoring the episode.
I actually use them too. We have a connection. So, I'm a pill form user myself. I just throw it in the mix of all the other supplements I like to take. So it's been a nice change for that. I wasn't really getting functional mushrooms from anywhere, so glad to add that into the mix and let's get it going. You know what I mean?
Yes. And that information is going to be in the episode description if you forget, but it is, instead of mushroom, it's an N instead of the R. Take that next step in this new year. All right, Roche, let's get going on Yeah Fam or Nah. You ready?
Yes, sir. You already know.
Okay, we'll keep it quick here because we have a lot to get to, but Yeah Fam or Nah, a quick recap. Baseball season, last we left, interesting thing happened. The baseball season never happened. It doesn't count. So
correct.
Nothing really to go over there.
Yeah, I agree. Super Nah fan. I'm going to be an even bigger Nah fan when we see the alleged three-peat and no baseball in 2027, thanks to our favorite evil empire.
Yep.
So
Never heard of 'em.
baseball's dead.
Whatever.
Rest in peace, baseball.
That doesn't count. Season doesn't count.
Yep.
Mickey Mouse, whatever you want to call it.
Look, I stay
Anyway,
petty,
moving on.
so I don't have to
Next
get
up,
petty.
what I wanted to cover. This is obviously going to be a football-heavy show, seeing as we're nearing the end of football season as we know it. But first up, I wanted to cover the college football playoff. And I think the thing that's capturing the most attention, obviously this time last year we were in the middle of a Ohio State football national championship run. So we can't be huge opponents against it because it resulted in our Bucks winning it all. But in now the 2 years of the 12-team college football playoff, the top 4 seeds, meaning the 4 seeds who had byes into the quarterfinal round, are 1-7. The lone win is this year's number 1 seed, Indiana. So the rest of the seeds from the past 2 years have lost their first game of the playoff. The 4 teams left, of course, are number 1 seed Indiana, aforementioned, having a rematch against fellow Big Ten team Oregon, number 5 seed. Oregon's one loss was Indiana earlier in the season in Eugene. This one is in Atlanta at the Peach Bowl. The other matchups, the Fiesta Bowl, it is the 6 seed Ole Miss versus the number 10 seed Miami, who more on them later. Obviously, they beat our beloved Buckeyes this season. They are going to face Ole Miss, who's in a unique scenario because their head coach left right before their college football playoff run. Lane Kiffin joined LSU as their head coach, and they have a lot of other coaches joining Lane Kiffin in LSU. I think only one of the coaches that is planning to move to LSU is still with Ole Miss's team. It's their offensive coordinator. The rest have been essentially dismissed and moved to their new job, which is very interesting and crazy part of the schedule.
Yeah.
Just as a recap, there were 2 non-Power 4 conference champions that made the field, Tulane and James Madison. That happened because the ACC stunk it up this year, and their conference champion ended up being 7-5 Duke. So hence why Tulane and James Madison made the field. Listen, I love that Ohio State won last year.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that, but overall, I'm a nah in general to where we're at in college football. And the reason is the schedule desperately needs to change. Speaking just of the college football playoff, they need to move up the opening round. And I do think the quarterfinals need to be home site games for the top 4 seeds.
For sure.
There needs to be some sort of market advantage for being a top 4 seed, because right now you can't tell me that the extra rest is being beneficial when teams are combined 1-7. So that part isn't working. So there has to be another built-in advantage. So you need to move the schedule up so teams are playing right away after the regular season, so they have less time to get healthy. And essentially the top 4 seeds have less time to get rusty in the other side of that coin. I hate to say I agree with Dan Lanning, head football coach of Oregon, but college football needs to keep Saturdays in December. There's no reason why they can't wrap up the entire season by around the new year, around this time. And the added benefit of moving up the schedule, essentially continuing to play on Saturdays in December by doing each round consecutively, is that it would help the schedule of the transfer portal and recruiting for coaches who are in the playoffs. That was a big thing last year that Ryan Day talked about. After they won the national championship, it was like there was no celebration because he had to go right into recruiting and transfer portal mode. The schedule is kind of crazy. Now, Kurt Cignetti, Indiana's coach, is doing great. They've secured some big transfer portal gets even while they're preparing for this college football playoff semifinal, but that's more of the exception than the rule. And they're definitely hot and clearly have a lot of funding through their NIL. I'm guessing a lot of it's from very well-known alum Mark Cuban, being an IU alum. I'm sure he has a lot to do with that, and some other big donors. But moving the schedule up would help all of those things. And whether they keep or get rid of the conference championship, the ensuing rounds of the playoffs should follow consecutive Saturdays, and we should be done by January, the beginning of January around this time at worst. And that way you're not trying to compete with the NFL. The NFL is not taking Saturdays from you. The college football season runs from the end of August, beginning of September, straight through December, and that's should be how it goes. I think it would help the schedule tremendously, and I don't see any reason to not do that. So for that reason, I'm a nah, but...
I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I like the fact that it's such a crapshoot. Obviously, it didn't work out in our favor this year. Many of the reasons you said, but they've done so much to try to improve it, but it's like there's no point in doing 50%. It's like let's improve it all the way through. If you're going to make the system 12 teams, make it matter for all 12 teams. And it just doesn't seem like there's a lot in it to even compete at a high level as long as you get in as a 11 or 12. Miami's a 10 seed in the Final Four. Yep. So there really was no incentive for them to try any harder than they did. So
right, and basically your system, yes, it's still single elimination,
right,
but that in itself is enough of kind of leaving it up in the air. You do need to create somewhat of an advantage for your top 4 seeds,
especially at the neutral site. A crapshoot with neutral sites is not good product.
And the unique part is, like, for example, Miami beat Texas A&M in their opening round game.
Mm-hmm.
Had Texas A&M beat them, Ohio State would have been playing in the Cotton Bowl, which is in Dallas, against Texas A&M.
It would have been a home. Seed. Yeah, it would have been a home game for Texas.
There's no reason for that. And the reason I was saying, like, I hate to agree with Dan Lanning, but it's because he has a unique perspective. Last year, they were a 1 seed who lost to Ohio State. Now, they got absolutely demolished, but he has a unique perspective of that. And then this season, he played the opening round, and his team got hot. And he was saying, well, they love traveling to Miami for the Orange Bowl. There's no reason they shouldn't have been playing in Lubbock, Texas against Texas Tech.
Right.
And so, and I agree with him. Like, the top 4 seeds, there should be another built-in advantage other than the rest, because it's proving that the rest doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
It's more important to be hot at the right time, and that's kind of what's being shown here. So I think it should be, if you keep in conference championships this year, I think it was December 6th was the conference championship day. The 13th should be opening round. The 20th should be the quarterfinals. The December 27th should be the semifinals. And then if you need extra time, more than a week, you go maybe 10 days. You still do kind of the Monday or
this coming Monday.
Yeah, or this coming Monday. Right. All right. Let's move on to the NFL playoffs here, Roche. And with the end of the regular season, we have the 14 playoff teams locked. In the NFC, we have the number 1 seed Seattle Seahawks, who get the lone bye in the NFC. So everything's going to go through Seattle on the way to through the NFC. The number 2 seed is the Chicago Bears, who will have their 3rd meeting with the 7 seed Green Bay Packers. The 3 seed is the Philadelphia Eagles, who will play the 6 seed San Francisco 49ers. And the 4 seed Carolina Panthers, who won the NFC South at below 500, will face the number 5 seed Los Angeles Rams. So 3 teams out of the NFC West. If you're keeping tabs, over in the AFC, the Denver Broncos secured the number 1 seed, and they'll have a bye. So things will run through Denver in that high altitude. The number 2 seed is the New England Patriots, who will face the number 7 seed Los Angeles Chargers. The 3 seed is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who will play the 6 seed Buffalo Bills. And the 4 seed is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who won the last game of the regular season in dramatic fashion, and the AFC North, and will face, for the first time ever, a wild card team in the Houston Texans as the 5 seed, which is quite the crazy thing that you dropped in the group chat, or Vish did, that the Texans have never been a wild card team before. They've either won their division or not made the playoffs, so this is their first go at it. And For once,
Hilarious.
they're not playing in the very first playoff game of the weekend.
We made it.
Yeah, you guys are on Monday night. You're the last game of the playoff docket of this opening wild card round. So,
some say that's the headliner.
big time.
Some may say. Many are saying.
Many are saying. They all happen to be in our cousin group chat, but a couple of notes. The NFC North had all 4 teams finish above 500. And that means all 4 teams were better than the NFC South's division winner, which is crazy. The Lions and Vikings, who did not make the playoffs this year, both finished 9-8. The Packers did at 9-7-1. Shout out to their tie against the Dallas Cowboys for that. The NFC West, like I mentioned, had got 3 teams in. Their 3 teams were all 12-5 or better, which is nuts.
Insane. Yeah.
A couple notes on teams if you're wondering if you're doing maybe a playoff pick'em or something. The Seahawks finished the season on a 7-game win streak to win their division against the 49ers and secure the 1 seed. And speaking of win streaks over in the AFC, specifically the AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars finished the season winning 8 in a row, and the Texans won 9 in a row to finish the season, which is wild. And then on the other side of the coin, the Las Vegas Raiders did clinch the number 1 pick in the draft. A little bit more on some of those other teams around there on You Played Yourself, and a little later on who you got. So don't want to bury the lead too much, but yeah, it's kind of our little recap. We're going to talk more about the playoffs a little later, but just for number 1 podcast listeners, a little rundown and recap there. But let's not waste any time. Let's go to the moneymaker. Let's hit that You Played Yourself.
Yeah, let's get into it.
I'm petty as hell. And I'm super petty. Here we Petty Le Pew. Go.
All right, number 1 podcast listeners, we know what you've been waiting on. You Played Yourself. It's that time, and I wanted to start with some NFL You Played Yourselves. I got a big one for later. I'm sure you number 1 podcast listeners probably are anticipating this rant for later. We mentioned it a little bit, but before we get there, I saw this, which was crazy. We just talked about the Raiders securing the number 1 pick. The first You Played Yourself goes to the New York Giants, who in their last 38 games are 8-30. Okay, not good. But half of those wins have been in the final 2 weeks of the season after being eliminated from playoff contention, only serving to hurt their draft position. In the last 2 weeks of this season, this particular season, they went from a potential number 1 overall pick to picking at number 5 in this upcoming 2026 draft just by winning 2 meaningless games. So a big You Played Yourself. 4 out of their 8 wins in the last 38 games have been in the final 2 weeks of the season, which is not what you want when your team sucks. And even if you're thinking to yourself, hey, we have the quarterback of our future in Jackson Dart, think about the haul they'd be able to get from a team wanting to get Fernando Mendoza had they had the number 1 pick. I mean,
it's all the rebuilding they need.
Yep, crazy. Speaking of which, I'm going to turn it over to you with the one after this, but the other one I saw was that the New York Jets, staying in technically East Rutherford, they share a stadium, but the New York Jets finished the season with 0 interceptions. Also, their leading wide receiver this year, any guesses?
Their wide receiver.
Can you even name a wide receiver?
I can't actually. I wavered Adonai Mitchell.
That's right. They traded for him.
Yeah, so I wavered him. He did pretty well. Yeah.
He was part of the Sauce Gardner trade, which, by the way, Sauce Gardner collectively won 2 games this year.
He was like 2-15 this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the stat was that he went from like 1 and something Jets, and then once he got traded to the Colts, they won 1 game.
Yeah.
But the Jets' leading wide receiver this year was Garrett Wilson.
Oh, go Bucks.
Go Bucks alert. Garrett Wilson last played on October 12th.
What was his
He
total
had-
yardage?
395 yards.
Good God, man.
Yeah, Puka Nacua maybe had close to that number in
In, like, 3
one of the
games.
last weeks of the season. Yeah.
That's brutal.
Crazy. Yeah.
Somewhat related to that, so I like that we're just capping on New York here, but because of the 0 INTs, I saw a tweet that actually made me think about something. So the last weird anomaly season was 2014. The Kansas City Chiefs went an entire year without a wide receiver touchdown.
Shit.
I don't know if you remember that, but I think it was whoever their tight end was at the time had most of their touchdowns. But what do you think is a more strange occurrence? Going an entire season without a wide receiver touchdown, or going an entire season without a single interception?
Those are both ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
But I have to think it's the interceptions because think about the context of this. They hired a defensive-minded coach who played defensive back in the NFL, and their team couldn't.
Houston Texans legend Aaron Glenn.
Right. Former Dallas Cowboy, too.
Yeah.
Think about how many balls get tipped. There's no ricochet, there's no overthrow, nothing.
There's no snatches. Not even a snatch.
It's truly insane. Because to a certain, a wide receiver not catching a touchdown is crazy. But A, if your team's bad, that could change things. And B, if you're targeting tight
running
end
backs,
or you run the ball, you go into jumbo set or whatever. But to me, that's more dependent on how the offense runs versus a defense is you never found one opportunity.
Yeah. And I saw some other tweet and I couldn't find it. I looked for it. This record is since there was one stat where it was in 1933, the leading passer was for 900 yards. So even in an era where these kind of stats exist, there wasn't a single interception, and these people are throwing the ball 30 times a game. Yeah. You couldn't accidentally have one fall in your lap. Yeah.
Insane. Yeah. All-time bad.
All-time ass off in New York.
Yeah. You got one for us?
Yeah, so I saw one. Speaking of the Las Vegas Raiders, we know where our team is picking first overall next year, and they have a head coaching vacancy as well. After firing Pete Carroll for one and done season, did you know that Mark Davis, the Raiders owner, is going to be paying $50 million to coaches who will not be coaching the Raiders next year? 50 million dollars. I saw a tweet. Here's a rundown. Antonio Pierce is getting $8 million. Josh McDaniels is getting $10 million. I forgot Josh McDaniels even went there.
He's still getting paid?
He's still getting paid. John Gruden is still getting paid $10 million. Pete Carroll will be getting $16 million, I think, for 2 more years.
Yes.
Chip Kelly is getting $6 million. What a waste. All these guys are be sitting on their couch, and they're still going to have to. And keep in mind, this is a Vegas team. They're going to be shelling out money to get someone. I mean, we have a lot of vacancies. There's a lot of names out there. They could be shelling out another big contract for one of these names and making that be $60+ million for one coach, essentially.
No wonder that guy doesn't pay for expensive haircuts, man.
Yeah, I mean, can we coach? Can Prem Brulee get a joint coaching job? I'm pretty sure I could do what Pete Carroll did.
I'll get fired real quick, and that way we get paid.
2 years, $6 million. I'll take it. It don't have to be no 8, 10, 16.
I can't believe Chip Kelly got that much for being a coordinator, but it had to be enough to lure him away from that national championship. Ohio State Buckeyes, that's for sure. Wow. Yeah. We'd love to be coach, Mr. Davis.
Yeah. I'll even get the bowl cut.
Hell yeah.
As a tribute. It'll be worth it.
Hell yeah, man.
Sauce
We'll
it up.
bring it back. Okay, so I talked about this a little bit, so I won't spend too much on it, but You Played Yourself has to go to the NCAA football schedule. And the part I did not talk about, I mentioned it briefly regarding Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss for the LSU job. But these coaches taking new jobs, leaving their past school who's heading into the postseason, taking position coaches with them, this transfer portal being the Wild West, seemingly like at least the bottom 1/3 of college football rosters is hitting the transfer portal. There's so much turnover in college football rosters. Big recruits are basically transferring after 1 or 2 years, and schools with current players that play or are happy with their role are having to fight to retain those players. USC was posting about re-signing their existing players this offseason.
Yeah.
They were like showing their college players in a boardroom signing a contract. They're already enrolled at the school. There was a player in the transfer portal reportedly like came down to like final schools, and one of the teams he was visiting was his current school that he was transferring out of.
Hey,
Insane.
man, like free agency basically.
Brendan Sorsby. Do you know that guy?
Yeah.
He
I
was
don't.
Cincinnati's quarterback, good player. He's reportedly going to be getting near $5 million to be the quarterback at Texas Tech next year. Transferred out of Cincinnati.
Sheesh.
I think it was down to LSU and Texas Tech, and he chose Texas Tech. They probably showed him the money. And then I talked about it earlier, but this transfer portal was open during the college football playoff. The National Signing Day was open for high school players during conference championship week. This is all backwards and broken. It's like the NCAA. The NCAA has always been a mess, but this feels uniquely chaotic, like almost as if they're doing everything purposely at the most inconvenient time.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost impossible that they keep timing it this way. Let's find the time that makes the least amount of sense, and we'll do that. The NCAA always has had like very little power, and this feels like it's off the rails. So You Played Yourself. I know a lot of college football fans feel the same way, especially right now with players transferring out. Commitments don't mean anything really anymore. It's kind of lost the luster of getting big recruits out of high school because there's no guarantee they're going to stay. It feels really weird. Like almost as if like a player doesn't play in his first 2 years, they're probably going to leave. Ohio State just had 2 corners leave that were at the very least probably going to be their nickel corners or like be in the rotation at cornerback next year. They have potential like people fighting for wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 roles in a pass happy offense that are transferring out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, and I can't blame them because like other teams.
This is a precedent they set. Yeah.
Other schools are probably tampering and like offering them money to leave, and
of course,
and then you have position coaches leaving left and right. Right now, Ohio State lost Brian Hartline to a USF coaching job, and like part of you wonders, like especially some receivers I mentioned transferring, like are they going to end up at USF because their guy is there?
Right.
Like it feels really weird. Everything about it feels so backwards. I don't really get excited for signing days. Those used to be big deals. The transfer portal like has become the main thing, and it feels like the transfer portal is a recipe to win because you can't count on these younger players to stick with the program, and you can't blame them. Again, they're 18, 19-year-old kids getting offered millions of dollars. I don't blame them at all.
Of course,
they're taking advantage of the system
with someone else running their show essentially.
And there's no loyalty. Like these coaches are leaving at any time, like I mentioned before. So what do they owe anybody? I get all that, but it just feels like it needs a course correction, and this feels uniquely chaotic. So,
it definitely needs to be reeled in a little bit. It just seems like they're kind of lost the plot.
Yes.
I know the whole aspect was to like emulate a professional league, and like kind of like a free agency kind of thing, but it's definitely a little too.
I mean,
there's no rhyme or reason, and like you said, like signing day, transfer portal, all this stuff is going on while the playoffs are happening. So it just seems like there's a lot of crossed news streams, and like organizing something like free agency opens in MLB at a certain point, pitchers and catchers report. Like they need to have a structured session where this is when the transfers happen. This is when the signing days happen.
Not concurrent with other things.
Exactly.
Think about this. This is a tidbit that our local sports radio talked about. I talked about Brendan Sorsby reportedly getting up to $5 million.
Yeah.
He's getting paid more for 1 year at Texas Tech than the entirety of Shedeur Sanders' rookie contract, his 4-year rookie contract.
Goddamn.
Think about that. Like, this has gone too far, and if it continues, like, what's that number going to be in a year or two? To get a quarterback in the transfer portal is going to cost you $8 million. Like,
what when Phillip Rivers, one of his 10 kids, gets to college?
I mean, I can't. It's insane. So it definitely needs fixing. I don't know the exact schedule, but part of it starts with what I outlined about the playoff. I think that solves part of it.
Yeah.
But,
Before we get to this next one, I want you to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Because I know what's next. So, number one podcast listeners. We're gonna have a moment here.
Yeah.
And we're gonna let our man do his thing. Yeah. But I need you to take a deep breath and talk about what's on your mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is your space.
Number one podcast listeners, you knew this was coming. You played yourself to Ohio State football. Listen, I don't know. Where do I start with this one?
First of all, no one's safe. Even the beloved Bucks, they've made it on to you played yourself. No one's safe.
Absolutely no one's safe. I mean, you should have seen my New Year's Eve text exchange with multiple group chats, all that stuff. So, first of all, let's get this out of the way. I'll be happy if Ohio State never fucking plays on New Year's Eve again. Never. I don't want them to ever play on New Year's Eve again. They're 0-3 in like the worst dramatic fashion. Rosh, I dropped this in the group chat and you immediately rattled off the 3 New Year's Eve games. Hit me with them. Quick read.
Man, Clemson, 31-0.
31-0, yep.
And then, shanking a field goal.
42-41.
Wonderful.
Against Georgia.
Shanking a wonderful field of Georgia.
As it struck midnight, yep. And then this one. Those are your 3 New Year's Eves. Never. I don't want them to play again. Beyond that, there's no other way to put it after Ohio State lost in the quarterfinal in Miami. This season was a failure. And if you're not an Ohio State fan or you're the outside looking in, you're probably thinking I'm crazy. I mean, you tune into this podcast, you already know by now. The crazy train's left. This season was a failure. Ohio State finally got the Michigan monkey off their back, but it felt like this was a different team afterwards, after they won. It's like they let their foot off the gas. And it was almost as if that win helped crown their past season's national championship season. It was like the one thing missing from last year, and this felt like a sigh of relief that they were able to then...
Little victory lap.
Yes. Get their gold pants to seal off like a nice 2024 year. I'm used to Ryan Day having disappointing big game performances, unfortunately. And it sounds crazy because nationally you're going to hear about his win percentage. Fine. More on that in a little bit. Did I think that he would have a clunker of a performance? Seemingly got over it last season after they went on their championship run? Probably not. Did I think it would happen immediately after their last performance sucked against Indiana? That one is an absolutely not. Ohio State put up an absolute stinker of a game in Indianapolis against Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. I would know. I paid some money to go to that game and leave it disappointed.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Their very next game was the one against Miami. And Miami beat them in the same fucking way they lost to Indiana. And it was as if Ohio State wasn't prepared for it. I just can't get over that Ryan Day didn't have his team show any inclination that they should expect more defensive line stunts and blitzes right at their quarterback's face after they struggled against that very thing against Indiana the game prior. Literally the exact same thing that beat them in Indy, they did nothing about. They did nothing about it. They didn't quick pass to the side. They didn't run tempo. It's like Ryan Day's strategy was that his team would magically learn how to handle the thing that they struggled with. That's it. That was the solution. Like, no, we'll be better this time. There was no scheming against it. There was no scheming in preparing for the same strategy, or God forbid there's tape out there now of how to beat you. Maybe we should do something about it. It was clear that in the final two games, when talent equated, Indiana, great team, Miami, good team, Ohio State had a clear deficiency at offensive line, and they did nothing to remedy it. It would be understandable if they hadn't just lost from it. Like, the Indiana game's almost understandable because it's like, oh, we haven't lost yet this year, so why would we expect it to not work? But then, what's the excuse for the Miami? And the thing that also sucks is that I think you know whether Ryan Day has it that day from the very start. And sure, that might be the case for a lot of coaches, but when Ohio State starts fast, they look good all game. And you just knew. It just felt different in this game after they had a slow first quarter. Like, compare their first quarter against Miami to their run last year. It was pedal to the floor from the start. Against Tennessee was at that game. That was incredible. Like, score after score. Against Oregon, they couldn't be stopped. Compare that to this year's game.
Yeah.
And I think the part that sticks with me is that Ohio State got beat exactly how the most remedial scouting reports said they would. Like, any keyboard warrior Monday morning quarterback knew that Miami's advantage was in the trenches.
Yeah.
Their offensive line and their defense line were their strength. Everyone knew it. Like, you couldn't find a Joe Schmo that knew anything about college football that didn't know that. Everyone knew it, except, seemingly, for Ryan Day. He's either too dumb to scheme for it or too cocky and stubborn to change his strategy. And I'm not sure which one is worse. I'm not sure which one I prefer. Just imagine the fucking audacity at looking at a situation and just saying, this time we'll do better. Like, these coaches think they're so much fucking smarter than the rest of us. That's why in fucking Indianapolis, you run 13 personnel, you trot 3 fucking tight ends out there and take Jeremiah Smith and or Carnell Tate off the field so that you can put 3 tight ends on the field. You're so much smarter than us that you think that's the right strategy. Like, they'll never see this coming. Yeah, no fucking duh, they won't see it coming because they don't need to. You don't need to prepare for that. You want to know who they're worried about? Number 4, Jeremiah Smith. You want to know who else they're worried about? Number 17, Carnell Tate, who's probably going to be a top 10 pick. And you're doing their job for them by trotting him off the field in exchange for a slow-ass blocking tight end. Because you're so big brain that you know better than us. Like, God forbid someone with even elementary knowledge knows better than to take your best player off the field. Even if you're not giving them the ball, at least a defense has to prepare for them. You know who they don't have to prepare for? Someone who's not on the fucking football field. If you take them out of the game for them. Enough about Indy, but like, you're just so much smarter than us that after Indy, you think your offensive line will magically block for Julian Sayin, and you can run these 10-second long developing plays against their all-American defensive line and expect them to not get sacked? Like, you think you can run these long-ass plays without them getting after your quarterback, who, by the way, just showed he is seeing ghosts when he gets a blitz in the very previous game? You know what? And you know what's insane about it too is, even if for some magical reason Ryan Day didn't realize like he should do something about it, legit the sideline reporter at halftime asked him about running tempo because their tempo, their 2-minute drive at the end of the first half, which resulted in a missed field goal. But the tempo that they showed at the end of the first half really tired out the Miami aforementioned stellar defensive line. Like, it seemed to work because this just in, how do you get a big guy tired by making him run side to side?
Yep.
And a lot. I don't know if he knows that, but it is something you're allowed to do. And Ryan Day just said that's just our 2-minute offense. Sir, I don't know if you're aware, but you're down 14 points with half the game done. And the only positive at that point in the game at halftime was people saying, well, it could have been worse.
I literally said that. I was like, it should have been 24-0.
And what did I say in the group chat? I said, I don't know the win percentage of teams down at half whose fans say, well, we're only down X amount of points, but it could be worse.
Yeah, facts.
But that win percentage can't be very high.
Nah.
And then Ryan Day kept talking about this idea that they'll be able to kick it into gear all year. He kept talking about it. He built this team and this whole season in preparation for a long playoff run. He clearly learned from the previous season's playoff run of them winning a national championship. So he said all year, he talked about playing slow and methodical because his idea was that by playing fewer snaps, it would basically build in like more rest for his team because they're playing fewer plays than most teams. And they did play fewer plays per game than most of the top teams. Here's the issue, though. I guess he was right. They ended up playing fewer games. It sounded good. Like, the right strategy for most of the season until you're in your final 2 games and you're down and you don't have enough time and possessions left to come back. His very strategy was the one that doomed them when they played talent equate teams. Because he ran out of time. Listen to this in that Miami game. So they come out of the first half. They start the second half. They're down 14 with the ball. They score on their first drive. Great. Their first TD drive took 6 minutes and 44 seconds. Mm-hmm. The third quarter of that Cotton Bowl featured 1 complete drive by each team.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's brutal.
Then they're down 10, and their second TD drive took 4 minutes 33 seconds. Not bad, but also you're limited at that point. You don't have the whole game in front of you. So basically by that point, you're partly into the fourth quarter, down 3 and playing defense. Then Miami went on a drive that ended in a punt, but ate up 3 minutes, 12 seconds. And then the Buckeyes went on a drive that ended due to a phantom penalty call, and that took 4 minutes, 20 seconds. So 2 drives that netted 0 points for either team took up over 7.5 minutes. That's half of a quarter for no points.
Yep.
And sure, your defense has been good all year, but by limiting possessions, you leave them 0 room for error. And you're leaving a unit that's been on the field all the first half and has kept you in the game in multiple games where your offense fell asleep. So then eventually they're going to get tired. Yep. And this defense still only gave up 17 points, and that was the most they've given up all season. Sure, it's a bad time to do that, but what more could you ask for them? You make them play the whole first half, and then you're giving them 1 drive, it's all or nothing. So the minute Miami got 1 first down, it was doomsday.
Yep.
And I get it from the outside looking in. There's even some Ohio State fans like this. Ryan Day wins a lot. I get that. His win percentage is gaudy. For those of you happy with a win percentage, I implore you, dare to have bigger standards. Mike Tomlin says it, the standard is a standard. It holds true in Ohio State. Not all programs are created equally. You're comparing Ohio State to any Joe Schmo program. Ohio State is an elite program. You should be expecting more than just a gaudy win percentage and beating teams you should beat. You should beat most teams. This just in, you're Ohio State. You have better players. You should win most games. But Ohio State under Ryan Day has losses where we all walk away thinking, wow, the Buckeyes should have won that game. He has so many of those. Like, you're telling me Ohio State should lose to a team that lost to SMU and Louisville and got into the college football playoff the last week of the season because the committee finally had to compare them in a head-to-head battle against Notre Dame. If you leave a game thinking we should have won the game, to me, the biggest thing that tells you is that was because of coaching. If you leave a game thinking we should have won that game, pretty much like 99 out of 100 times, that's coaching. And that's the common denominator in Ryan Day losses. I'm not calling for his job. Like, you know, allegedly I maybe was last year after they lost to Michigan last year. You know, that's neither here nor there. A1 since day 2. You already know, number one podcast listeners.
You can't prove anything.
Can't prove it. There was this narrative, and Ryan Day perpetuated that they were going to kick it into second gear. And some people affectionately, this is not a real accusation, but some people call this we'll call it a substance-induced Ryan Day. Like, they call it blank Ryan Day. Figuratively, of course, not accusing him of anything, but when he's on something like Ohio State's firing on all cylinders, playfully. You know, the mere existence that Ryan Day has to turn into a different mode of himself for games is the problem in itself. Like, the idea that he has to have a alter ego as a coach to kick it into gear.
Yeah.
Shouldn't he always be in that mode? I get you don't want to unload everything against like a at a conference whatever game, but you should be able to kick it into gear no matter what game. And he insisted all year there was another gear, and we never saw it. When you needed it, you're down, like you needed it, and he never kicked it in, and he claimed there was another gear. How? And listen, I'm going to end with a few things here. How on fucking earth can Ohio State not find competent kickers and punters? I'll take one of those two. How do other teams have guys making 50-plus yarders and we have JV kickers?
Yeah, of all the schools.
Like,
every premier college has a stud kicking field goals, it feels like.
Ole Miss, in their win against Georgia, had their kicker make a 55 and a 56-yard field goal. Like, I couldn't even dream that up. I mentioned the end of first half missed field goal. There's not an Ohio State fan on this planet that thought that kick was going in before half. And I have text proof of it. I sent it in the group chat. I said, this is exactly what I sent before. I said, I don't know why they're kicking this. He's going to miss it, is what I said. And every Ohio State fan probably has a text like that with their buddies. One last thing before I take another breather and do some breathing exercises here. All due respect and gratitude for the job Brian Hartline did as a wide receiver coach and offensive coordinator, and especially as a recruiter. Brian Hartline is going to have his next first-round wide receiver from 2022 to now. He's had Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Ibuka, and soon-to-be Carnell Tate. That's 6 receivers since 2022 that will be first-round draft picks.
Yep.
His track record speaks for itself. Brian Hartline just took the head coaching job at USF. It was at the beginning of December he took that job. But what I will say is ever since he took that head coaching job at USF, this team has looked and felt different. Now, Ryan Day took back play calling for the Cotton Bowl loss to Miami, but the fact that he had to resume a job he hadn't done in a while was due to Brian Hartline trying to be in 2 places at once. I don't question his intentions, Brian Hartline, or anything like that. I don't question he wanted to finish the season. But this performance by Ohio State's offense in the Big Ten Championship and Cotton Bowl will definitely have teams rethink allowing coordinators and coaches to stay on staff to finish the season. I am by no means blaming it on that, but it is hard not to think about the impact it had of Brian Hartline trying to be in 2 places at once. Understandably.
Yeah.
They're 2 very high-stress jobs that demand a lot. So the idea that you could try to start your head coaching stint at USF, which, by the way, is in Tampa, Florida, and try to still be in Columbus for offensive coordinator duties is damn near impossible. It is not the reason they lost, but at best it felt distracting. Or at worst it felt distracting, whichever one it is. So, number one podcast listeners, I apologize for stream of consciousness, but and maybe word vomit. I tried to organize my thoughts. It's kind of a compilation of all the thoughts I've been feeling since that loss. It still bugs me. Just he has the Ryan Day teams just have those losses that just stay with you and break your heart when you think about them over again. Those of you fans that think just 12-0 regular season and beating Michigan is enough, just the standard is the standard, and dare to have bigger standards. That's what I'll say. That shouldn't be acceptable. It can't be. Not here. Not Ohio State. If you want to be one of the best programs, it's got to be better than that.
Go Bucks.
Right. Go Bucks alert now and forever. I love my Bucks. And what I would implore you to do, roughly this time last year, I know I had a rant about Kirk Herbstreit calling some fans the lunatic fringe. It's like we kind of wear it as a badge of honor now and like use it as a joke of what he said during Ohio State's win against Tennessee last year, where he referred to a lot of fans as being the lunatic fringe. Your fellow Ohio State fans that have standards, like your boy, and people that are complaining about not making it far enough in the playoffs or whatever, you're not on some high horse because you are toxically positive about your team. That's not the barometer for being a fan. It is in no way, shape, or form the description of being a fan. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to be disappointed in your team. And I feel like some fans need to hear that, because you guys are just being rah all the time. Like, it's not all about that. Otherwise, what good is it? Like, root for something else. Go watch Dancing with the Stars or something. Like, if you want everybody to cheer, that's what Little League's for. We want more, and it's okay for Ohio State fans to want more. This by no means excuses those actual lunatic fringe people that do crazy things like there's uncalled for comments, like none of that stuff. But if we're talking on the field product, it's okay to be upset at your team being disappointing, and it's okay to call that season a failure, because it fucking is, and I'm sorry to tell you. All right, Rosh, should we hit that non-sports you played yourself to calm ourselves down?
I think so. I think you should probably go first to ease off a little bit. By the way, that had to be the most impressive, beefiest you played yourself segment in You Played Yourself history. I'm trying to think.
Thorough, man.
It definitely wasn't as heated as some of the previous segments. It definitely wasn't as mean, but it was very articulate. Bravo. Great job.
Appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed that.
That was
Podcast
great.
Listeners, thank you for that. Yeah,
someone in Columbus, hire this man. You need this man on your radio station.
Hire me. Yeah, I think part of that is like, we won the national championship last year, so it feels like less painful. I think a little bit, but this team was so talented.
Yeah,
and
it shouldn't have ended like that.
I just hate the discourse after a team loses a disappointing game. Like, all of a sudden their chops and their resume are questioned after you lose a game like that. And I do think this team was worthy of their resume and like being regarded as a top team, but it's hard to like defend it after the last two times you saw them. They stunk it up. But
it's definitely a weirder way to see an Ohio State season end, especially all year. Even someone outside of Ohio watching most of these games and highlights and all this stuff, they didn't give up more than 17 points. Their defense was dominant. Yep. Their offense was cooking. They were resting starters half the fucking games.
Yep.
And to see it like go out with such a whimper was odd. And it wasn't even that it was a whimper. It was when it was a whimper. It was like, how is it so early? You would understand that if it was like a semifinal, whatever, or quarterfinal, totally. or the actual championship game. No, it was against a 10 seed Miami team. It should. That
was barely in.
Yeah, it should have been.
That was probably like the last bubble team in. And yeah, I think the other thing I want to clarify with like fans that demand more is, I don't think like the fans that are upset with and calling the season disappointing were necessarily like, hey, it was either back-to-back national championships or bust. That isn't normal to win back-to-back. That's happened.
Yeah, you want to make a run at least
in history, but losing your first game, that can't be acceptable.
Yeah.
It can't be. It shouldn't be. So, especially when you've been good all year and you just got beat and you didn't learn from it. That's context matters. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I've had a lot of time to think about it, and it's like you get a lot of organized thoughts, and it was bothering me that later that night too, and kind of like late night little Twitter rant too about it as it was bugging me. So I had a lot of organized thoughts that I was able to put together. So hopefully y'all enjoyed it. But anyway, without further ado, let's go to our non-sports you played yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, we like to end on a light note, non-sports related. So my non-sports you played yourself is has to do with Stranger Things season 5 spoilers. So obviously most people know Stranger Things just wrapped up their series. It was on our screens for 10 years, which is kind of crazy to think about. But my issue is this has been the most insane behavior by people during this final season of Stranger Things. People have lost all decorum with TV shows and just were willy-nilly spoiling each part of the final season after virtually no time had passed. It was like borderline just the amount of time if someone started it when the episodes first premiered and they were already taking to social media offering spoilers. And I've never seen anything like it. The best I can figure out is like these people forgot how to act when TV shows were big. But
well, they didn't grow up in that generation where people were kind of doing that.
Must not have, but it was like big accounts doing it, and like, I'm glad I'm not on TikTok because I've heard there were major spoilers. I talked to someone who was thinking about, they watched like a past season, they're thinking about restarting, and they're like, well, I already know what happens in the final season, so it doesn't have as much like luster. So it is very, very odd behavior by people. And my you played yourself goes to, if you contributed to spoilers, if you need tips on the proper decorum with TV shows, hit me up. But it's definitely not taking your social media immediately after an episode drops.
That's fair.
Especially the way Netflix does in like batches. Like people need time to watch that shit.
Yeah.
It's different when there's like weekly TV shows. So yeah, you played yourself goes to those people. But what you got, man?
Man, honestly, I want to give a non-sports you played yourself to everyone who still thinks Stranger Things matters.
Damn.
What a terrible show. It won't be missed. I'm glad it's over. It's been on way too fucking long. These kids are like 25. I'm over it, man. I really enjoyed the first season, I will say. The second season was all right. The third season, I was like, what is this shit, man? They're doing too much. I get it. I know a lot of people like it, but you know, in my true core, I'm a hater. So I gotta hate on that real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Number one podcast listeners, for context, this is a man who has not and probably will never watch Game of Thrones. So
yeah.
We're grade A haters.
Hashtag
and proud
that
of
guy. Yeah. Sorry.
That guy. I respect the take.
Yeah.
But Stranger Things had a lot of issues with time. I talked to a bunch of people who kind of were like, A, forgot about what happened, or B, like, they never got back into it because so much time passed.
Yeah. I actually caught some spoilers too, and against my will, and I'm like, I don't even watch this. Like, what is going on with you people?
For what it's worth, there were mixed reviews on the finale. I liked it. It's somewhat of a hot take. I don't think it's like super hot takes. It's pretty split on how people feel about it, but I liked the series finale. So those of you like listening to what people think of it and trying your best to avoid spoilers, I actually did like it. So I'll leave it at that. I will practice what I preach and won't offer any spoilers, but I did enjoy the last season. Very high production value. Like speaking of Game of Thrones, this final season felt very much like each episode was a movie, and that's how Game of Thrones always has felt to me, especially those later seasons of it. The quality is just so high of what you're watching. So that part is very cool. You can't believe it's like a TV show format. So anyway, that's where I'll leave it at. It's a nice segue into Am I Hatin'? we're going to say statements that are most likely clearly hating, but, it's a safe space, so we're going to drop them anyway.
Yes,
you
sir.
Ready, Rosh?
Of course.
You want to go first on this one since I went first on non-sports?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. As we get into January, am I hating if I just say Christmas lasts too fucking long? I get you're in the spirit, and I get you want to throw your trees up earlier and earlier each year, it seems. But man, they got to be down by January 1st. Like,
you're January 1st
do
guy.
your chores. January 1st, take your shit down. Why am I still seeing pictures on Instagram or whatever with your tree still up? And like another thing, similarly adjacent stray, fireworks on Christmas Eve this year.
That's nuts.
I don't know.
You guys have those?
I don't feel like this has been a thing in the past.
Yeah.
This year, I was in 2 different places, and in both places I heard fireworks, and I'm like, what is the matter with you people?
Yeah, that's wild.
It's like there's too much Christmas. Like, take your damn trees. I want everyone out there who's listening to this #1 podcast right now, if you have a tree up, take that shit down.
It's time.
Tomorrow. If it's still up, take that shit down. And I know a couple of my friends who listen to this, I know your trees are up. I know it. Take that shit down.
Ours is down, man.
And then send me a picture of proof that it's down.
Yeah.
With the piece of paper that has the date on it.
Don't play yourself.
Don't ever play yourself. All right, what you got?
All right, my Am I Hating is also holiday related, keeping with the theme. My Am I Hating goes out to parents setting limits on their kids' birthdays or the holidays. Listen, that baby didn't ask to be the child of a party pooper. I get it. Sometimes space is limited, so just say that. But you telling me no gifts to a child, I'm going to go ahead and disregard that. Let that kid be a kid, and as the kid's uncle, I'm going to go ahead and disregard your wishes to be boring. Fine. I get it. You don't want to spoil them, but I do. Like, what's the lesson here? While they attend other kids' parties and hear about other kids' gifts that they shouldn't be celebrated, you're not making any big point. All you're failing at is being a one-upper. And while we're at it, I got one more beef. When did we as adults decide we shouldn't do gifts? I did not sign up for this. I like giving gifts, and this part might be controversial. I don't think it should be, but I like receiving gifts as an adult. I'm sorry. Sometimes I like getting stuff. And a lot of times people are like all about these experiences. Listen, most of the time I'm going to figure out what experience I like more over you trying to guess. So I don't mind things, and I don't care if that's controversial. Am I hating? Probably, but here we are. All right, let's move on to who you got and what you feeling. And we got a lot to cover from past episodes because obviously we're doing a football preview here, and we made some preseason picks. So I thought it'd be fun to go over some of those preseason picks. First up, last episode, Rosh, you and I allegedly made baseball picks. Well, baseball season never happened, so don't need to recap picks. I'm willing to Shohei Ohtani's interpreter-style bet that the season never happened.
Petty alert.
I think we
Petty
can agree
alert.
there.
Petty alert.
The fun part I wanted to go over was a preseason, and I think we did this last year with the three of us, you, me, and Vish. But this past season, I think you weren't able to join for that episode. So me and Vish did an NFL preseason preview. So I wanted to recap some of those picks. Thought it'd be fun to do. And then also you and I, Roche, did a quarter season, mid-season edition of picks by division. So without further ado, I thought it'd be fun to recap these. I'm not going to go through each pick, but just a few standouts. So shout out Vish for these. Hopefully he'll enjoy these too. But both really wrong on the Lions pick. I mean, they did finish 9-8. Division was over 500, but we kind of do.
Yeah.
My dynasty pick of Colston Loveland was very correct. He ended up being a very good tight end. And Vish nailed Laporta being not worth the hype. He ended up getting hurt, but he wasn't having like an incredible season before then either.
Yeah.
In the NFC East, it felt obvious the Eagles were going to win. Vish nailed George Pickens being a breakout. George Pickens was like top 3 or 4 receiving yards this year and had an amazing season. NFC South, I nailed Bucky Irving not being worth the hype, and we both, it wasn't that far-fetched, but we both nailed Emeka Ibuka being a breakout. Vish also nailed Tet McMillan having a good season. I think Ibuka would have had an even bigger season. Mike Evans was hurt, and so was Chris Godwin for part of it, but it felt like when they got back, he kind of went down the depth chart. In the NFC West, we both missed on the Seahawks. I think, not even close on that.
Yeah.
I think one of us had the Niners, one had the Rams. Not far off because they all made the playoffs, but AFC North. I mean, I think everybody missed this pick, but we missed the Ravens pick. We thought they would win the division. And Vish nailed Chase Brown having a big season. He seemed like he was definitely the standout for the Bengals offense. In the AFC East, we both picked the Bills, which was obviously wrong. I don't think anybody picked the Patriots except for Patriots fans. Vish and I both nailed the not worth the hype picks. I picked Breece Hall, who didn't have a bad season, but and then Vish picked Garrett Wilson. Shout out Garrett Wilson, still go Bucks. And our dynasty pick, another obvious one, but it did really hit, was Travion Henderson. Another go Bucks alert. AFC South. Missed on our Texans pick by one game. Now they still made the playoffs, obviously. Vish had a nice dynasty pick with that Eric Ayomayor on the Titans. He was very good for them. I seem to have a good rapport with Cam Ward. AFC West, I feel like the Chiefs not being good surprised everyone. I nailed my dynasty pick of RJ Harvey. He was really good for the Broncos. And then we did our Vish debuted the Kyle Pitts Award of someone who's hyped but won't live up to it. We picked a few people, but I had Alvin Kamara, Kyron Williams, and DK Metcalf. Vish had Kenneth Walker. It feels like Alvin Kamara was the only hit there. Even Kyle Pitts didn't Kyle Pitts this year, so it was a unique season. And then you and I, in the previous episode, did our NFL predictions a quarter of the way through the season. So that was me and you. So I wanted to recap some of those. We mostly picked like our picks for the winning division. AFC North, again, we both missed on the Ravens. AFC East, we both missed on the Bills. And AFC South, wow, did the Colts and my pick of the Colts collapse.
You love to see it.
You do love to see it, but interesting tidbit. I think I saw this. They're the first team to start that good. They were 8-2, 6 games over 500. The first team to do that and miss the playoffs. And I got to give you credit. You did give the Texans a chance at that point. There was no reason to, but like I said, they rattled off a bunch of wins after that. So
just sheer delusion, man.
Yep. And I think you said that.
Being delusional. Yeah.
But I like it. You manifested it.
No way. Yeah.
AFC West, you were closer with your Chargers pick. They made the playoffs, but I don't think anybody saw the Broncos coming. And we just kind of thought the Chiefs would right the ship. They never did. NFC North, I somehow stuck with my Lions pick. You went with the Packers. You were a little closer on that. I picked the Rams, but the Seahawks pick, that was like kind of the first time any one of us bought in. And the NFC East, like I said, was easy. It felt kind of obvious that was going to be the Eagles, especially after the Commanders season started off so terribly and Jade Daniels was hurt most of the year. All right. I feel like
I actually want to hijack your script here for a little bit. While we're talking about the NFC East. I had to think of a interesting place to put this in here.
Okay.
Because I just felt like this is this place, even though it has nothing to do with who you got, what you're feeling, kinda.
Okay.
All right. But I can't help but think that the number one podcast listeners need a little bone here from you.
All right.
I mean, you gave them the OSU rant. You know, I got to commend you. But we've had almost an entire football seasons you played yourselves go by without the mention of a certain team in Dallas, the Dallas Jerry Joneses.
Yeah.
I don't think we've heard from them since Micah Parsons got traded. So I think the people deserve a little bit of an update.
You're
from
right.
you.
Wow.
So if you don't mind, I'm gonna do a quick rapid fire check-in from an alleged former fan.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it. I'm in. I love this.
All right. We're just gonna hit him quick.
Okay.
All right? You're just gonna give me some answers.
Yeah.
All right. Premal, how was your first full year as an opt-out Dallas Cowboys fan?
Relaxing. Sundays are relaxing, man.
Relaxing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude.
How many Cowboys games did you watch?
Let's see.
I mean, with them being on TV all the time, it's hard to watch the NFL season without just like accidentally catching them.
I'd probably say, I don't know, probably whole games, probably like 3 or 4. I didn't go out of my way to watch them. I definitely watched the national like night games after the boys go to bed. Obviously gonna watch those games like, Monday night, Sunday night football anytime they're on those. But I truly, I swear it sounds like I'm overcompensating here, but
You have no reason to lie. Let's be real.
most Sundays I just turned on Red Zone and left it there, even if the Cowboys were covered in our regional game for that week. I kept it on Red Zone and just watched that the whole Sunday.
Shit. That's much lower than I thought. Yeah. That's impressive. So, how many games, if any, did you get upset during? I should have set betting lines before I did this.
I kind of like it.
Did you find yourself being like, "What the fuck"?
It turned into like laughing when things went wrong because it was like, I've seen this before.
Laugh through the pain moments.
But there was probably a level of being upset. So I guess maybe like 2 or 3 times. I don't know. Like if I'm being honest with myself, yeah.
All right. What was the worst moment of the season? As a non-fan, of course. It has to be after Parsons trade. So what's the worst moment? Yeah. It's pretty good. The fact that you can't think of one is pretty good. All right, and as a non-fan, of course, what was the best moment? And I have one in mind that I think you're going to say, but let me see what you say.
That's a tough one, too. Definitely, I think how that team responded after the tragedy of Marshawn Kneeland. That feels like an easy answer, but I'd probably say that Thanksgiving game against the Chiefs.
That was a great game.
That felt like a fun one. So I guess I'm having trouble thinking of one, but I would say that's probably the one, and it's one I actually watched part of. So what was your answer?
Tying the Packers. It was just me trolling. Yeah. I just remember in the moment being like, this is like game of the year. Up until that point, it was the game of the year. Yeah. And it ended in a 40-40 tie. It's just fucking insane. I don't know if anyone keeps up with scoreagami out there, but that was like a scoreagami. It was the first time in NFL history that's ever happened. Like, and they'll do anything but beat them.
And I tell you what could have been a crazy thing. Jordan Love was legit a second away from losing that game for the Packers, because I still remember this. He almost let the clock run out on one of their last plays to try to score before they kicked a field goal to tie it. And had they lost that game, they would have been in a 3-way tie for second, and I wonder if they would have made that last wild card spot. Right. The thing that got him into the wild card spot was being 9-7-1, a half game better than the 9-8 teams. So Lions. I wonder, in a weird way, they're probably thankful for that tie. Yeah.
All right. Next question. With the news of them firing Matt Eberflus, what if they get a great defensive coordinator? Will you be back?
I will not be back.
All right. What will it take to get you back? Does Jerry Jones have to die? By the way, for legal reasons, I must disclose that this is purely conjecture based on Jerry Jones's age. I have no particular knowledge of the situation, just for any lawyers listening out there or the government.
Yes, very important disclaimer. I'm also convinced he's immortal, so that's besides the point. I think it would have to be. I would maybe give it a chance once one of his sons takes over, if he decides to retire or whatever. But I'm not convinced that it'll be any different under his sons, because they're still going to only care about profit. I think I would have to see it. It would have to feel different. Like, I think I need to see, because I'm cautiously kind of I still kind of see what happens to them. It sounds bandwagony, but I'd have to see them take another step in the playoffs before I invest anything into it. So,
coming as someone who had a similar run-in with their own football team, where I had to just take a couple years off. Yeah. Cal McNair took over, and he was a joke at first. Who knows what the hell he was doing, and he was just running the team into the ground. You know, they burned through like 3 coaches in 2 years or whatever they did. Like, they hired David Culley, fired David Culley, hired Lovie Smith. Remember all that? I mean, it seems like so long ago. It was
That's
like
crazy.
5 years ago.
That wasn't that long ago. You're right.
5 years ago, yeah. So, I mean, the second they hired D'Amico was, I'm like, okay, it's time to lock in, and it looks like they're actually taking this seriously, and it looks like they care again. Yeah. So, in my opinion, there's going to be a moment where they're going to lock in. And if they don't, then so be it. But, yeah.
Yeah, I just, they're uniquely, I ranted about it. They're just uniquely a degenerate front office. So,
for sure.
I think I'll know when it feels different. And all this still feels familiar. Like, it still very much feels the same way. I mean... So
it's just a week in, week out clown show.
I'm not acting like I'll never go back to him or anything. I've never maintained. It's just to preserve my own sanity. It felt like it felt like insanity to continue to root for them while they do this. It's like nothing's changing. So here I am expecting a different result. So if I feel like something's different, maybe it's a shame because their offense was truly incredible. They had Dak Prescott was top 3 in passing. They had 2 1,000-yard receivers, 1,000-yard running back.
Yep.
And they had an all-time bad defense. It's crazy. I saw a tweet today that their defense is historically bad. And if you look at the chart, it was like all the other teams near them from past seasons were like had 2 wins on the season, and the Cowboys were sitting at 7-9-1, and it's only because of their offense. A truly historic offense. They wasted a truly. I mean, if they were even serviceable and snuck into the playoffs, I think Dak Prescott probably would have won MVP with how great he was playing. So
he was balling.
It's unfortunate, but maybe I'll know when I'm coming back. But I very much enjoy just watching Red Zone and just.
Hell yeah.
I enjoy watching football, so it felt good to not be invested. I don't think I wore a single article of Cowboys clothing this season. I was gonna say that, but I think I wore like a beanie to shovel my driveway. So I guess technically
that doesn't really count. Yeah.
But never donned any of that gear.
Respect, man. Thanks for playing. This was Cowboys Corner. This will not be a regular segment, but I felt like a year went by almost. Or not a year, but rather a football season. We deserve to check in.
All right, Rosh, let's move on to this episode's Who You Got. And first up, with referred to as Black Monday in the NFL season, there are all of a sudden a lot of head coaching vacancies. So I wanted to run down all of them and get our picks for what we think is the best opening. Try to do it pretty quickly here. These two were in season, so the Titans and the Giants, they fired their coaches mid-season. We mentioned them earlier. The Las Vegas Raiders fired Pete Carroll after just 1 season. They have the number 1 pick in this year's draft. By the way, Tennessee has number 4. And the Giants, we already mentioned, have number 5. Cleveland also fired Kevin Stefanski. They have the number 6 pick in this year's draft. They also have the Jags pick, which will be a later, probably 20s pick at this point. The Cardinals fired their coach Gannon. They have the number 3 pick. The Falcons fired Raheem Morris. They have a head coaching vacancy. They have no first-round pick. They traded their pick this year in exchange to get a second first-rounder last year, defensive player James Pierce with the Rams, so their pick's going to the Rams. And the newest one, and potentially the most surprising one, is that the Baltimore Ravens, after I think 18 seasons, fired John Harbaugh. So Baltimore will have the 14th pick. They were a missed field goal away from being in the playoffs, but they have a head coaching vacancy for the first time in a long time. So what is the best job out of those? Go for it, Roche.
Honestly, aside from Baltimore, Baltimore is with the caveat that Lamar is staying. Yeah. If they're trying to shop Lamar or whatever they're talking about doing, I don't know how good of a job. I mean, it's still a great franchise, whatever.
Yeah.
But aside from Baltimore, is it like safe to say that all these jobs suck? Like they're all shit.
Yeah.
I mean, if I have
Yeah.
to pick one, it's Atlanta. But that's
Yeah.
only because that division can be won at 8-9, as we've seen. I don't think it's going to be any different next year either. But I mean, would you want to coach the Giants? Would you want to coach the Titans? Like, I mean, it seems like shit. I guess maybe Las Vegas, but
Yeah.
and this is kind of like Vegas's like last ditch effort to like save their franchise. They got the number 1 pick. They're going to get a new coach. It is a real reset button for them. They don't have many chances before they're one of those bottom feeder franchises. Like they've already been that way, but
And they're in a tough division.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, Mahomes probably is going to be rehabbing for most of the season. But,
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos are the 1 seed. The Chargers also made the playoffs.
Yep.
And whenever Mahomes comes back, you have the Chiefs. So it's not
Yep.
an easy division to win.
for sure.
For what it's worth, it seems like the Browns' former head coach Kevin Stefanski and the Ravens' former head coach John Harbaugh, if they want to work this season, they'll have the ability to. They're going to be hot commodities in this hiring cycle, and they've reportedly already been contacted for most of the vacancies that are currently present. So
Yeah, I was going to ask it. Do you have any guesses on who Harbaugh is going to go to? And I would have also guessed the Giants just because it's New York. Like New York wants names, so it just seems the most logical for them to like throw a bag at him. He's not going to be jobless. It would be stupid for him to be jobless. He's actually a pretty good coach.
the other controversial one that they kept everyone, Bengals. I feel like they should also be joining this vacancy search, but they kept Zach Taylor and their front office. It's the Browns inexplicably kept their GM Andrew Berry, but then fired their coach. And Andrew Berry's the one that facilitated that Deshaun Watson trade that's like handicapped them. So
Cleveland never has known what they're doing.
very weird. For the record, the GM vacant, in case you keep track of this, Atlanta, along with firing Raheem Morris, fired their GM. So they have a GM vacancy, and the other GM vacancy is the Miami Dolphins. So those are the two. I've heard like Matt Ryan is tied to being like president of football operations or something with the Falcons, which I love when teams bring back people that were legendary for their franchise because they know their shit. I think that would be a fun move because I would think he'd be the one that I think he's going to be the one that picks the GM, and then they'll pick the head coach after that, which I think is a good business.
I also really like him on TV. So I mean, he's been pretty good on TV too. So
yeah, which he'll probably be done. Okay, let's move on to our picks for the respective football that we're going to be watching. So I want your pick for who will make the NFC Championship game and who will make the AFC Championship game. And we're going to manifest picking these in a new edition. So I just want your picks for who's going to make it to that round.
Okay. All right. NFC Championship. I think I'm going to go NFC West. Hawks and Rams. NFC West. I think the Bears, Niners, and Rams will win their first rounds. And then I think the Hawks will best the Niners and the Rams will beat the Bears. Can we just say, though, the NFC field looks great? Like, their first round matchups, like, Panthers upset the Rams, so we still have that on the table. They clearly have a recipe to beat them. And then, like, division games. Fuck yeah. This is going to be awesome. Shout out Sam Darnold, man. 14 wins in a row, 2 years straight.
The Rams, so
him and Tom Brady, the only ones. Beat the allegation.
And then I just feel like the experience will help the Eagles against a team like the Bears, and their defensive line and stuff will disrupt things. I just feel like they'll turn it on, but it does feel very wide open, and I like. Big fan of those. Wow. Altogether was very like cup runneth over feeling. So feeling like sentimental, and it very much felt like the end of like a really fulfilling break of quality time. So that's what I'm feeling.
All right, I got shocker Broncos and Texans. I think Broncos will chalk their side. I got Texans, Jags, and Patriots winning their first rounds, their wild card round games, and then I got Broncos over the Jags, and then Texans over the Patriots. I don't believe in the Patriots. I think they're a pretty fraud team. That's my true fraud of the playoff field, but I think home field is going to get him a win over the Chargers, who have a lot of weaknesses. This is the year, like, we talked about the Texans being on Monday night and, like, breaking from that wild card spot. Maybe this will be the year we break from the divisional round. I believe. Shout out Ted Lasso. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the home field is... Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to ignore those two specific home fields too. They have very, like, strong edges in the matches they play. Like, Foxborough has just always been a place for everybody. And obviously Denver with the altitude, so yeah. And he's battle tested in the playoffs. He's been a part of some nice upsets, so yeah, for sure. All right. All right. I'm going to go with, like, strictly, like, what I feel. I think I'm going to go Oregon over Miami. And I think Oregon, because I don't want Indiana to win. I think that's the only reason I'm picking them. And I just think Ole Miss, without their coaching staff, and it's, like, just a shit show over there, I don't see them pulling that off. It would be hilarious if they won or even got to the national championship without their coach. So, but yeah, Oregon over Miami is my pick. All right. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, they just beat the brakes off of Bama, man. I couldn't believe that score. Yeah. Yep. There you go. Yeah. Dude, the wife and I just got back from Mexico City, and I'm definitely feeling Mexico City. What a great city. Anyone who enjoys art, music, cocktails, food, architecture, design, fashion, this is the city you need to go to. It's very affordable, very approachable, not pretentious, amazing food. Can't speak highly enough about it. definitely Mexico City. I'm also feeling like year-end lists. I always get into the mood of like creating playlists and year-end lists and my favorite albums and reading editorials for like top movies of the year and all this shit. And lastly, I've been watching Lost from the beginning. And that's one of my all-time favorite shows, so I'm really feeling watching Lost. I will tell you, I am not feeling, I don't know if number one podcast listeners can hear, I'm a little congested. I'm on round number 2 of bronchitis in the last month.
I got bronchitis.
So don't get washed, everybody. I never got fully healed from the first round, and I just got a second one. So fuck bronchitis. Shout out Sweet Brown. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
You need to start taking that mushroom, man.
Yeah, get that mushroom. I probably wasn't taking my supplements strong enough, and that's why my old ass is sick. So, what you got, man? What are you feeling?
Man, I'll tell you. I'm self-admittedly, we're talking about the holidays. I'm self-admittedly
Fair.
kind of a Scrooge. Don't love Christmas music.
Must run in the family,
not a big winter
bro.
flavor guy. But I got to tell you, what I'm feeling is definitely this holiday season with my family. Shout out my wife. She makes the season super magical. It's a big deal for her. And getting to see it through my boys' eyes, seeing the magic of the season through their eyes, definitely is what I'm feeling. Just quality time with the family over this break. It was just very, energy fulfilling.
For sure.
Very cup runneth over.
Yeah. My man's is a Disney movie over here, people.
Dude, yeah, that
You know?
so soft, man. What a lame one. So. Now we're back to
My
it.
man, yeah.
Back to it. Gonna be testing our
Can you
immune
believe
system.
this is the only podcast where you're gonna get a 10+ minute rant on the Ohio State Buckeyes and just straight gushing
Yeah.
over your wife and son. So shout out to the
levels.
number one podcast.
Yeah, we hit all
It's called
roller
Range,
coasters.
people.
Range, baby. Full range. All for you, number one podcast.
Yes,
listeners.
sir.
Speaking of gushing and, riding those feels, I feel like this is a nice time and a nice segue into how we wrap up each episode, which is Too Much Sense. So
Yep.
let's hit that intro. All right, number one podcast listeners, I feel like I do this time each year. It's that time of year, New Year's resolution season. So my Too Much Sense for this episode is a reminder to you all to be kind to yourselves, to be kind to others. Give others grace, be patient with yourselves, be kind to yourselves as you work to improve, as you implement New Year's resolutions. If you're a gym goer and now all of a sudden your gym's more crowded, it costs nothing to be encouraging instead of disparaging. There's people out there, maybe you're the people who are working to improve, but there are people out there who are looking to improve. They're looking to belong. And don't let your attitude be the reason they don't. It's hard enough to keep a New Year's resolution, but that feeling where you don't belong makes it even tougher. So my Too Much Sense to you all is to be encouraging to yourselves and others as people look to better themselves.
Pretty good. You got any New Year's resolutions this year?
Yeah, this year I think I'm gonna work to, prioritize. I really did a lot to improve my health, and I've taken it really serious.
Yeah.
Aligning myself with great sponsors and affiliates like Mushroom. But the next step I want to take is kind of prioritizing sleep. And it's cool. My wife and I do this thing where we kind of give New Year's resolutions for each other, and what we'd like to see out of the other person, because a lot of times you're either too hard on yourself or not seeing something, and a partner might have a good idea for you. So this year she suggested me working on prioritizing sleep a little bit more, and trying to avoid that doom scroll, the end of the night mindless scrolling, to prioritize sleep. So that's my main one for this year.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one she suggested, and I was like, that's a good idea. Like, some of those days you just can't avoid it, where you're just like, what am I doing up still, that sort of thing. So
Reading some dumbass football tweets or something, Dude, this might be the first year in a while where I have like a fitness related New Year's resolution, and it coincides with me talking about being washed and stuff, and it's really just upping the cardio on my regimen. Like I have a pretty good regimen. I don't eat bad. I don't, all that stuff. I just hate cardio. Like cardio fucking sucks. Fuck running, fuck walking, all of it sucks. But I am gonna make a point to like do more of it, and like even just like I think January 3rd, mid bronchitis, whatever it was, wife and I went for an hour-long walk. It was pretty boring, I'm not gonna lie, but it's nice, you get to chat, whatever. So up in the cardio, and I we're gonna try to do it. Last year I said I was gonna meditate more, and I did it. So and there's no like I'm trying to quantify it. Like I'm not like I'm gonna run twice a week. I'm just like I need a goal to run more this year.
Exactly. If you work better with open-ended goals like that for your New Year's resolution, do that. Do what works best for you. It is not one size fits all.
Yeah.
Whatever's going to help you achieve those goals. If you're setting some for yourself, do it. That's what I kind of did. Mine was big on like meditating, and I did do that, and a lot of health related stuff, which I improved greatly. I've talked about it with number one podcast listeners, and obviously I'm affiliated with brands that help health stuff, so you can see kind of the focus on it, and I'm proud of what I did, so I want to continue
for sure.
that. But this one's been more about like
that's
other healthy habits for me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, you number one podcast listeners, that does it for a brand new episode, the number one podcast in your headphones, our first one of 2026. Sorry for the hiatus, but we hope this supersized episode makes up for it.
Yep.
Rush, I want to thank you for being my co-host.
Of course, man. Keep rocking with us.
As always, you number one podcast listeners, I've been your host, Premal Bhatt. That's been my co-host, Roshan Bhatt. And you know the drill.
Of course.
Like, subscribe, leave a review, share the episode, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we will talk to you next episode.
Yep. Peace.